Good evening. I'd like to call this City Council meeting, Community Redevelopment Agency and Financing Authority meeting to order. Today is November 20th, and it is 6:45. I will now to refer our city attorney to report a closed session, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council met in closed session and discussed, item A was removed from the closed session agenda. Item B, 2 cases were discussed, direction was given, no reportable action was taken. Item C, the item was discussed, direction given, no reportable action. Council decided to add an urgency item to the closed session agenda tonight. By a 5-0 vote, the council determined that an item came to the attention of the city today and that action needed to be made today related to that item. That item was added as item D onto closed session. It's conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subsection C, 2 cases. Under that item, the City Council authorized the City Attorney to file 2 actions. The substance of those actions will be available pursuant to Government Code 54957.1. And it was a 5-0 vote to authorize the City Attorney to file those 2 actions. And that concludes the closed session report. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Okay. Now, I'd like to have Mr. Maritza Hurtado, Councilwoman. Can you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, next item. I believe, Mr.
Yes.
Councilman Bill Hash, we have some presentation?
Yes. But shouldn't we approve the agenda, Mr. Hodge?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, before the council approves the agenda, I also have to request that the council add an urgency item to open session tonight. And I would like to give the substance of that so that when council can vote and then add that item to the agenda when you approve the agenda tonight.
After the approval of the agenda?
I'll go ahead and give the substance right now, and then you can take a vote on adding the item to the approval of the agenda.
Okay.
So the substance is that today the County Board of Supervisors met and they discussed an action related to the casino project and the discussion of comments being given to the Bureau of Indian Affairs on the land to trust application of the Manzanita Casino in Calexico. The city learned today that there are comment letters that the city needs to turn in by December 28th to the BIA. These are different than comment letters that have already been submitted by the city, and so we just found out about that today. The deadline to submit those letters is December 28th, and we don't have another regular meeting until after that time. And further, in the county's discussion of the item today, they authorized their CEO to negotiate essentially some type of an MOU with the city. And so that issue just came to our attention today, and there's an urgent need to begin negotiations on that aspect of it. So if the council, we need a 4/5 vote of the council to agree to add an item to the agenda, and we would add it as the last item on the agenda is number 22. And it would be so that council can give direction related to getting those comment letters out to the BIA by December 28th, appointing a council ad hoc subcommittee to begin negotiations, and to authorize the subcommittee and the city manager to begin negotiations. So if the council would consider this request to add as an urgency item number 22 related to the casino, if you could take that vote now, and then if you do vote to approve it, you can be added to the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add the addendum or the emergency item explained to us by City Attorney Ms. Lyon as item number 22 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Romero and second Moreno and second by Councilman Bill Hash. Let's call for the vote. Okay, motion carry 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like at this time to make a motion to approve the agenda with those changes at this time.
Second.
Second, we have a motion by Councilman Moreno and second by Bill Hush. Let's call for the vote. Motion carried. Now we have a presentation, Mr. Councilman Bill Hush. Can you lead?
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get down to
Please.
the real business of the evening, I thought that this would be a treat for all of us and a source of pride for the city of Calexico. We have a young lady that has lived here and come up with the school system, throughout the school system. In fact, she was a former student of mine. She graduated in 2009. And I've always been a firm believer, like many of us, that we have real talent in this community. And tonight, you're going to see some talent here. I'd like to introduce to you Natalie Lozano, and she's going to sing some opera for us. And this is going to hopefully segue or lead into an event that at the Cultural Arts Center sometime later down the road. So Natalie, will you be kind enough to step forward? And Nick, did you agree that you would help out there for Natalie? Thank you. And I think this is very nice for the Christmas season. Wherever you'd like, Natalie.
This will be recorded, so the camera's right there.
You do what you need to do. You feel comfortable. So whatever you like. Excellent, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, Natalie Lozano, Coclx Cm. Thank you very much. If you're interested, I'll do the shameful part here. She has the CD. It is beautiful. She has that. Thank you. So we're looking forward to having an event at the Cultural Arts Center.
Mr. Mayor, can we give her another 3 minutes?
Yes, of course.
I sing like that. I sing like that in the shower too. That was excellent. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Hodge, for bringing her to the councilman.
Okay, now we have general comments by council members.
No. Yes. Yes.
Okay, yes, definitely yes. Announce public comments, and we have two oral communication here, and one is from public comments are welcome. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please complete a speaker form prior to start of the meeting. If the item you wish to comment on is closed session item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comments when we get to the item on the agenda. And we have two oral communication here from Mr. Jun Kim. Will you please come to the podium, please?
Hi, my name is Jun Kim. I'm standing as a citizen. I wish when I come to the city, I don't have to come city with the witness to not to be arrested. First of all, we just add about the casino. The casino issues is very impacting our community. I don't know why has to be urgently bring it in here and to make the decision without community doesn't have a chance to come here to pro or con whatever they can exercise their right to opinion for their need or for what they affecting. I don't know why it has to be the last moment to be. I believe our city has to be a little more cautious to put agenda to dealing with the community's interest. And I believe a couple meetings ago, and city manager salaries, we've been raised the city manager salaries. At the same time, we have deficit budget. Clearly, last meeting was showing that we have a $900,000 owe. We have a debt for the insurance for the last years. Actually, making us to the deficit. We still raise the city manager salaries. I don't know. Our city is printing the money from someplace else. I don't know what they're going to do for us. Today, as San Diego Sweetwater District, 3 board members raided by the district attorney. They're searching 3 board members' house with construction company's house too. I hope Coclx bell is not ringing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Jun Kim. The next request for oral communication is from Daniel Chaires. Will you please come to the podium?
Good evening, City Council members and City Manager and everyone present. My name is Daniel Chaitis, 930 Rockwood Avenue. And when I come here to ask is if I can ask for time for next meeting, City Council meeting, for a proposal that I would like to make to the city. The proposal is based on the city bus stops, which are vandalized, graffitied, and all dismantled. I have taken some pictures to show you there. And the proposal that I want to do is I talked to an affiliate regarding to the bus stops, and I wish Nick was here. Nick said that, there's no staff and there's no funding for these bus stops. And by me looking at these bus stops, I found a real good opportunity to advertise on the panels that these bus stops have. What I'd like to propose to the city is if we can make an arrangement where I will take care of the bus stops, clean them out, take the graffiti out, maintain them, put all the wiring that those panels need. And no, I'm not gonna ask no money in return. All that I'm gonna be asking is to let me have the opportunity to advertise on those panels. I think this sounds a real good opportunity for both the city and myself. That way I can generate income for my business as advertising on those panels, and as well keeping those bus stops clean and all light up as they originally should have been in the past. I would like just to ask the city council members if there's any comments in regards to this, and if there is a possible chance of making a proposal for you guys on the next meeting.
So
Making a
this-
presentation, sorry.
So this is like adopt a park, but you're gonna adopt the bus stops
Yeah, something like that.
and be able to advertise for free.
Yes.
That would be a cost savings to the city, wouldn't it be, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, it would, and what I would suggest is that we provide a meeting on staff level, so we can take a look at that and then put something together and bring it back to council so that we have a recommendation also.
Yes.
There you go.
What I'll do then, I'll try to make an appointment with Mr. Oscar Rodriguez, and then we can just work it out from there on. Thank you, council members.
Thanks
Thank
to
you
you,
for your
Mr.
concern.
Shitis. Okay.
Only if the school district issue.
Oh, belong to school district.
Okay, now we are going to we have a presentation by Imperial Irrigation District on the tree trimming near power line through the city of Calexico. Can you please, Mr. Nick,
Yes,
inform us to that?
Nick Servine, City Engineer. Unfortunately, IID had to cancel the last moment. However, I do have some pamphlets to explain what they're doing out there at Highway 98 between Andrade and 111. As you know, the palm trees have been cut, and that's required by the PUC because of safety issues having to do with overhead electric line construction. It's called Rule Order number 95, and it comes right from the PUC, and of course IID has to do that. If they don't, then they're in conflict and can be fined, and also conditioned to do some other things as well. But let me present a graphic.
Mr. Servine, now that they've cut those trees, are they gonna plant something there?
I'm glad you asked. I did ask a question to see if we can go ahead and plant, and the district has been kind enough to offer a program to. They have a program to replant, given a certain type of tree, and they've directed staff to work with me and offer a few types of trees so that they won't be a conflict as they grow with time. See, the palm trees go vertically. These other trees can be topped off and grow horizontally.
For shade.
For shade.
I heard about the trimming, but I had not seen them. But the comments that I received is they're down to the trunk or the stub?
It's a two-phase project. They cut them down to a stump, and then they, all the way down to the ground, and then they grind them down so that it's below grade.
So the lines of palm trees that was on 98 between Rockwood and the apartments are all gone?
Most of them, except there's a few left along the school district fence.
I noticed something similar is happening at the four corners of Cole Road and 111. It would be the southwest corner,
Correct.
in front of Denny's restaurant.
That's a Caltrans grant project that we have. We're working with them. We've been asked to trim the trees. However, there's a couple of trunks that have been stooped off for the burrowing owls. They need them for purchase. So we're going to landscape and irrigate that area, so it's going to beautify the proximity.
Mr. Servino, at one time, that area on 98 west or east of Encinas housed a park, a parkway, if you will, Linus's Park.
Yes.
And as I recall, palm trees lined up on the right side, and then toward the street, before there was a curb, they had shade trees. I'm not sure if they were ash trees or what they were. But there was grass, there was an obstacle course, there was a dedicated park, and it was used by people who wanted to walk it for whatever reasons. The city still is in control of that park, or is Caltrans, or who has that park at this time?
I believe it's controlled by Caltrans. We do have an easement through there, and why they removed it is beyond me, but I would venture to say that it was probably an attractive nuisance.
An attractive nuisance.
Coined the term, yes.
Okay.
But I can investigate that, find out.
Yeah, because if they're going to replace those trees, maybe Parks and Rec can take a look at it, and of course that's under your
Yeah.
umbrella. But is there an idea? Is there a possibility of bringing that park back? I mean, it's a designated park within the city.
Right.
It's a dedicated park, as they say, but it's also under the control of Caltrans.
Yes.
So we have to go through Caltrans to find out what we can do with it.
I'll find out just how much we have to go into it and how much leeway we have. But let me explain a little bit about the attractive nuisance. The attractive nuisance, I think, was brought about the equipment that was left out there for exercising. You have cars, you have a busy highway, and you have people doing all sorts of things, and so people don't pay attention to the traffic and they have accidents. So I imagine it's along those lines.
And as I recall, it must have been about within 10 years that they widened that section of 98,
Yes.
and they did away with that whole park concept. But there is still a marker out there that says when it was dedicated and what the name of it is. So I'm just wondering if the city's going to take control of that or not. And being that we are limited in park areas,
Right.
do we want to make that a park or not? I mean, that's something that we need to discuss.
I'll explore the limitations, and it coincidentally comes at a good time. They're cutting the trees, of course, and they have offered to allow us to plant some trees, and they did discuss the option of maintenance, of course, and we would, as a city, have to maintain them, irrigate them, and consequently, if we use a parkway area for grass, we can then maintain that as well.
Thank you, Mr. I have
Thank you.
further questions.
Any questions on the overhead trimming?
Yes, the palm trees that are at the north side of the high school on Highway 98, those palm trees are below from the transmissions cables, probably 15 feet or 10 feet. Are those palms? Are you guys still going to trim them?
Well, they were scheduled to cut all the trees along the high school. We stopped them momentarily, and they're going to allow us to leave the trees there for the time being. They try to go through a cycle where they go through each city and they cut the problem area trees when they're in proximity of the power lines. So next time they'll be in the city of Calexico will be possibly in about 3 or 4 years. So by that time, if they've grown quite a bit, then they'll have to trim. Now, the question was asked, what about trimming them at the top? If they do trim at the top, what happens? It kills a tree, and this was reinforced today by IID. I spoke to them, and the problem with that is that you cut it off at the top, it kills a tree, it slowly dies, starts decaying. With time, that tree will actually topple over. There's a danger of it collapsing onto the power lines, causing a fire hazard, if not possibly hurting somebody or property.
Okay, the IID call us or call
Yes.
trans who?
IID called us as a
And-
courtesy.
Okay, and who from the city decide to trim those trees? Who?
Well,
Did you?
nobody at the city decided to trim the trees. They called us as a courtesy to say, we're going to cut the trees. Where do you want us to cut? At the top or at the bottom? I decided to cut them at the bottom because after all, the tree is going to be dead. I didn't want. They would eventually die.
I thought they would grow back.
They don't want them grown back, so that's the difficulty. So they cut them just below the green top. And if the green is cut, there's no leaf to get the chlorophyll and therefore feed the tree, et cetera.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't
Thank
have no question. No more questions. Okay, now we have general comments by council members, and I'm going to start to my left, Mr. Bill Hush, Councilman Bill Hush. Any comments?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Not at this time. Councilman Romero. Perdón. Moreno.
Thank you. Just like to thank Mr. Bill Hodge for inviting Natalie Lozano to come here and make a wonderful presentation. It was just awesome. Nice little break in our business meeting, but always room for arts and entertainment. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank, I believe it was the cops and badges, or badges and, what is it? The kids that went to, cops and badges that went to. Kids and badges, okay. Thank you, Chief Newjar, that went down to Food for Less and not Food for Less, I'm sorry, Toys R Us. I'm all confused here. Toys R Us, not Food for Less, okay. And they've got their $100 and bought their Christmas gifts, so I thought that was an outstanding goodwill gesture on behalf of the police department and the fire department as well. I saw them cruising down Rockwood, I think it was last week sometime, and it was just an uplifting experience and talking to some of the police officers that really enjoyed it. Also, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Calexico for hosting a parade that was held this Saturday, December 10th. A big turnout of people came down to Calexico, and question was the route. It took me 30 minutes to get from my house to Heber Park because the traffic was backed up. So maybe we can address that for the next time if we're going to go the same route. Or maybe not. We just have to get there earlier, right? But yeah, it was a great turnout. I'm glad to see Mr. Servine out there enjoying the parade. I know Mr. Rodriguez couldn't make it, but thank you, Mr. Servine, on your behalf, and all the staff that did an outstanding job in providing the services on that Saturday morning, which was just a wonderful experience for us. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Marisa Hurtado, do you have comments?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on the kits and badges. We know one of the little girls, my wife knows one of the little girls that participated in that program. One of the things that you might not know about this girl, I won't mention her name, but one of the things is that she was afraid of cops before, and when she got enrolled into this program, and she actually went out. Me and my wife were out when she was actually all excited of going out. And we asked her, where she was going out. She said, "Oh, a cop's gonna go take me out," and and she was real excited. There's a little girl that had a bad, childhood, still is having a bad childhood, and doesn't have the role model of a father. When the city does certain, things like this, it impacts, little kids' lives a lot. We might not, we may not put this out a lot. We may not show this a lot, but this is the actual impact that you're doing to these kids here in Calexico, and that kind of made me happy, knowing this little girl from before and how she grew up, and then being excited because she was actually going to go out, with a cop.
Well, if it's any consolation, Mr. Hodge and myself are still afraid of cops.
Oh, okay, all right. I think we were all afraid of cops.
I go out with cops, John.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
I'd like to also
Mr. Chayes.
mention that the Calexico bid has a nativity/Christmassy theme area on the corner of Rockwood and 3rd. And that is the work of the Calexico bid, and I saw a lot of kids and parents out there after the parade. It was a very nice touch. Thank you very much for the hard work from the bid that also helped us out for the parade. The other comment that I'd like to make is I see that we have several of our school board members here. Many of you may know that the school district is facing very difficult times at this time, and many meetings have occurred at the school district. And my colleagues and I, including Mr. Rodriguez, as you know, have been participating in your meetings, and because we are highly concerned, we are there to support you and to work together with you, and hope and pray that all works out. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Romero?
Yes, again, I want to thank Councilmember Hodge for bringing the young lady in for that opera presentation. I'll be honest with you, I did not understand one, yeah, but I understand how it is. I've been to opera presentations, and even though I don't understand what the message is being brought, but I could see it with your fluctuations in your voice and the different feelings and stuff, so I want to thank you for doing what you did. Also want to say thank you to the staffing, everybody that was involved with the chamber. Was another organization that was involved with the parade, or is it just a chamber in the city?
The nonprofit, the border. The road.
The border bandits, the border.
Calexico Desert Bandits.
Desert Valley Bandits.
Desert Bandits. Thank you.
They actually stepped in this year to actually become one of the co-sponsors with us, so we're very happy that they did. We hope to continue that relationship in the future.
Oh, yeah, and the Vigilantes for helping out with the organization. It was a good experience, and thank everybody for it. Yes, also piggybacking on the issue with the school board meetings, it is a concern. That is why I'm attending, and I will be continuing to attend the meetings as time permits. It's a serious concern. It's not a minor concern. It's a serious concern. And congratulations for BID for doing this nativity deal that on second and third, Rockwood and 3rd. I think it's great, so keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Romero.
Oh, if I may, also. As a reminder, recently we lost one of our own, Jose Lepe. I was able to make the viewing, but I was not able to attend the mass the following day. For that, I do apologize for the family, but just to let everybody know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. And I want to thank Natalia Lozano. You did a excellent, I believe it's opera sing, and I feel proud that you're from Calexico. We have a beautiful talents here in Calexico, and you're one of them. So thank you again for being here. Okay, we are going to continue with the next item. Okay, we are going to start with, we will move to consent agenda, and there is 15 items. There is any of the council member want to pull one of the items, or you guys want to approve those items?
I will pull item number 5 for discussion.
Item number 5. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, item number 5. Mr. Mayor Bill Hatch, do you have? No. Councilman Moreno?
Mr. Mayor, if there's no other items to be pulled out, I move that we adopt or approve 1 through 4, 6 through 15.
Mayor, before you move forward, we'd like to pull item number 6.
Item number 6 from city manager. Also about Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado? No? Okay, I would like to. Okay, item number 13. I want to pull that item, and also adopt. Also, I would like to call item number 5. Oh, you already,
Yeah, that's already been pulled.
okay, thank you. Okay, item number 13. So we have 1, 2, 3.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor, I move that we approve 1 through 4, 7 through 12, and 14 and 15. And pull 5, 6, and pull 5.
Mayor, I have a number 8, oral communication. Number 8,
Mr. Mayor, this is a consent calendar.
This is a consent. Let me, we need to,
My motion stands. I move to approve 1 through 4.
I'd like to pull number 8.
Okay. 1 through 4, 7, 9 through 12, 14, and 15 to approve. Pulling 5, 6, 8, and 13.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have let's call for the vote. Okay, motion carry 5-0. Well, we are going to start with item number 5, Mr. Moreno, Councilman Moreno.
Romero.
Yes, it was Romero.
You call for that?
Yes.
Number 5, Romero. Okay. Thank you, Moreno.
Okay, the way I read this is for the El Club de los Amigos. Hold on a second. El Club de los Amigos to be, to waive the fees, the rental fee for the community center for 2 events a year.
It's to rent to waive it for this year for 1. They've already had 1.
Oh, for
They
this
are
fiscal
requesting the second, and the ordinance only reads that you can only waive, they can only have 1. So we're asking the waiver for the second one, for this
Okay.
year.
The cleaning fee, the maintenance fee is still on?
Yes, they will still pay the maintenance fee, correct.
Okay. One of the things is that if it's okay with the Club de los Amigos, for this kind of a waiver, there you are. Especially with the second waiver for this consideration, is that I know that you're doing it for the community as a whole, and that for part of the president, if this thing is approved, is that it be for the community as a whole, for the waiver. There are, as a nonprofit, you can hold an event for yourself, not inviting the community. You understand?
My understanding is that they do invite the
No,
community.
they're inviting the community
Oh,
as a whole.
sorry.
That's what I'm saying, we're setting a precedent if we approve this thing, but I would like to be also where it's only in a second situation if the community as a whole is invited to an event.
And according to the ordinance right now, anytime somebody asks for a second one as a nonprofit, it'll have to come to you because I have no authority to waive.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on that. Is this waiver is going to be just for Club Los Amigos or to?
Right now, it's just.
This
for
is
the-
their request
Just-
only at this
just
point.
for them?
Any other nonprofit on the second request would have to come to you.
Yes, but my question, we have more nonprofit organization and clubs, so they need to come to us, right?
The first one, we don't question, that's through the ordinance. Any other than the first one, second, third, whatever, that has to come to the council.
Okay. Okay, next. Okay, let's,
If that's the case, if there's no other comments, I would like to motion for the approval.
I'll second.
we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem and also by Councilman Moreno. Let's call for the vote. Okay, motion carry 5-0. Number 6, will you, City Manager, will you please give us some information about this item?
I believe
Number 6 was pulled.
we pulled it to move it to the next council meeting.
Oh, for the next council?
Yes.
We're just pulling- oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we pulled
For
it
the
for,
next council
next
meeting?
council.
hopefully, the next council meeting,
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay. Next council meeting, number 6. Okay, we have number 8. I pulled that item. I like to hear more, more explanation on this annual rotation policy. We don't have it? That's my question. Since when? Or this is new, or?
Well, there
Can you
is.
explain that?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. There's no state law related to rotation of the mayor's position and the mayor pro tem's position. And there is no, that's up to the local jurisdictions if you don't have a directly elected mayor. There is no written policy by the city that I'm aware of, or that anybody else has been able to find, that's been in writing to say when the annual rotation occurs. So it was requested by Councilman Moreno to put a policy in writing related to the timing of the annual rotation. And that, so this is completely within the council's policy discretion at this point in time if you want to put this into writing.
Thank you for that information, City Attorney. Any comments?
No, I just, basically, we already do that anyway. Our rotation is in July after the June elections, so I thought that we would keep that in, put that in, and make it official.
Okay. Motion? I'm sorry?
There's public comment on that.
Yes, I have it right here. Yeah, will you please come to the podium, please?
Hi, first of all, I have a question. We have an agenda today. We might gonna change the election date. So what, if we make that approve this one, when they change the election date, what is gonna be? They're gonna be changed to the election to another ordinance to change in the December? Or they're gonna stay as it is? So this one is a June. I believe the meeting in July, first regular meeting in July, they changed the terms. So which is, if we change the election date to the November, then how are they going to do it? Traditionally, all the entity after election, just next month, they have the first regular meeting after election, first month, they have the change over the presidencies or chairpersons.
I think Mr. Kim would, if that happens at that point, then maybe we can take a look at it and maybe take some action or discussion on that item.
Then why not table until they make the decision first? Then if they change the election date, then we don't have to do this one, we have to change it again. So why don't we wait until to make the decision about the election date decisions? I'd like to recommend to the council to table this one until decide to what we're going to do with the elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Any comments from my colleagues?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve number 8 to adopt the resolution for the annual rotation policy.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion by Councilman Moreno and second by Bilhaj, Councilman Bilhaj. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0. Next consent item is number 10.
13.
13? Yes, 13 by Mayor Pro Tem.
No, that was you.
This one.
Yes. Approval partial payment.
That was Mayor Castro pulled that item.
Yes, yes, I do. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Don't worry, Mr. Romero. I called that. I'm going to take care of that. City Manager, can you give us more information about that? How come you didn't pay the whole amount and you're going to make some payment in partials?
We're going to be paying it over the terms that we have. Obviously, we do not have $1 million that we could pay $1 million on. As we've discussed over and over and over, this has been part of the smoothing process that occurred on the policy, on the liability. But to put it very simple, that is, we intend to pay it over time. A lot of cities are in the same situation. They do not have $1 million or whatever it is their tab is to pay it overnight. And certainly during these economic times, you try to save your cash position and not deplete your cash position as much as possible. We do have a reserve. If the council so desired, they could take a reserve. I'm not recommending that. I think you should pay it over time. We are going to take care of taking advantage of a discount, a small discount that they provide us if we pay it before December 31st. But again, my recommendation is that we pay it over time. We've got till 2014 to pay it. Hopefully things will start picking up in the next year or so, and we will be able to increase the payment amount. But because of the rollover on the $800,000 that we had at the end of the year, we're suggesting that you move forward with the $200,000 and try to pay down that balance at this time.
So we own that money since when?
This money has been money that is owed in the past because of the smoothing process that took place. Again, most cities are not paying this overnight. They do not have the money to pay it overnight, so they're allowing us to pay it over time. As you can see in the memo, it talks about being able to pay it over a period of 2014. So if things go correctly the way we think they're going to go, we'll pay $200,000 this year. Maybe as things pick up, maybe we'll pick up the actual payment in the next couple of years and be able to pay it off by 2014.
Okay, thank you for that
Mayor, I have a
information.
question. This will be an annual payment?
It's, well, we're hoping it's an annual payment because the idea is that you will try to pay it within that time frame. How much, it's up to us to decide how much. And it's all going to depend on our economic situation. You know, if the economy picks up, we may decide, and we do better next year, we may decide to pay $400,000 and pay it off even earlier. But that is depending on where we're at from year to year.
If the projects that are due to come into the city, with the revenues that the city will receive, it's something that
Then we would look at accelerating that payment.
Okay.
Okay, now we have, let's call for the,
I move to approve.
to approve number 13.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Moreno, and second by Mayor Pro Tem Romero. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0. Okay, now we are gonna start with the public hearing.
Mayor Castro, if I may go back, I want to go back to item number 7 in the consent. By it being approved, then the cost that is associated will be paid.
Yes, it will, and I've been told that the cost may be even less. So as soon as we can document that, if in fact that is the case, then it'll be less.
Okay.
Okay, next item, public hearing. Okay, item number 6. We're gonna start public hearing at 7:35. Item number 16. Uniform application number 2011-03. Environmental impact report, general plan amendment, zone change, tentative subdivision map development review and variance for Calexico Grand Plaza. City Manager, would you please give us some background information on this item? Or City Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, we would request, go ahead and open the public hearing, and then we will have staff give its presentation. I'm not sure how many staff members are going to present or consultants, and then we'll just continue to work through and give you direction on the different people that need to make statements regarding this. I
Okay.
think is Mr. Servine the first person who's going to speak on behalf of staff and give the staff report? Okay, so if you'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and then we'll have Mr. Servine come up and start on the presentations related to this item.
Okay, I already opened the public hearing. So, Mr. Servine?
Nick Servine, City Engineer. The project requests are 6 items in front of you. Number 1, Environmental Impact Report number 2011-01. ESA consultants prepared an EIR in accordance with the provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Public Resources Code, PRC, Section 21000 at SIC, and the CEQA Guidelines, Section 1500. Number 2, General Plan Amendment. The adopted General Plan land use map designates the project site as I for industrial. The objectives and policies associated with the industrial land use designation do not support commercial retail uses except as subordinate use to heavy industrial uses and limited to 25% of the building floor area of the development. Therefore, to develop the project, a general plan amendment to change the land use designation from I to CH commercial highway is necessary. Number 3, tentative subdivision map. A tentative subdivision map is required in order to divide the project into 6 lots. It was presented originally as 6 lots, now it's presented as 5 lots, and to allow for the individual sale of these lots. Number 4, development review. Due to the proposed commercial uses, development review approval is required. Chapter 17.01 of the Coclx Municipal Code. The development review process is established to meet certain community goals that encourage harmonious appearance of structures and property within the city to ensure that new development does not have an adverse impact on aesthetics, health, adjoining properties, or the city in general. And number 5, variance. Due to the proposed increase in the building and pylon sign height up to 56 feet and 100 feet respectively, total number of freestanding signs, total number of center of identification signs, and the total sign face area for the project signs, a variance is required pursuant to Chapter 17.05 of the Coclx Municipal Code. And finally, number 6, zone change. The project site currently contains parcels that are zoned IND, industrial, OS, open space, and CH, commercial highway. Therefore, to realize the project, the developer is requesting a rezone of the OS and IND portions of the site to CH, commercial highway. Rezoning the total site to CH would result in the logical extension of the existing CH zones on the eastern portion of the site. An ordinance is required to effectuate the zone change. That's my presentation. Any questions?
Any question from my colleagues?
I don't have any.
No? Any questions?
I just want to make it, clarify that the Planning Commission did review this.
Yes, we did. There were some questions raised, and after some discussion, everybody was quite content, and we approved it. Or they approved it, excuse me.
Okay, and just want to also clarify that the city's general plan and this development are in alignment?
Well, we had to make some recommendations for variances, and I believe, Attorney, we had to make some adjustments to comply with the general plan.
Correct. One of the resolutions here is a general plan amendment, so that general plan amendment makes this project and the entitlements consistent with the general plan. The variance resolution also sets forth the various findings related to the variance, and so if council wants to consider approval of that, all of that information is in the resolution and the staff report related to that issue.
So the resolution includes these 6 items that you have explained before us?
Correct.
There are actually 6 different resolutions, and when we finally get to that point, we'll take those one by one for the council to consider.
That's all I have for Mr. Servin, Mr. Mayor.
We have
Okay.
consultants available in the audience in case there's any questions specific to any of the conditions and
Mr.
variances.
Servin, I just want on the record the credibility of this. This took a lot of time, and it was thoroughly reviewed and worked out. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it was, and yes, it is.
Thank you.
And I do have a question.
Okay, please.
One of the things, Mr. Servin, you were not part of staff a year ago or a year and a half ago. There was a new stipulation where no items that are approved by the Planning Commission come before the council until all issues have been resolved, including the any monies that may be owed. Has that been resolved?
That's been resolved.
Excellent, thank you.
There's no more comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have a few things to add to the record, as well as I believe the applicant is going to give a presentation related to the benefits that this proposed project would have to the city. I'll go ahead and make my statements for the record, and also we have a, okay, after the applicant? Okay. I'll go ahead and wait for my comments until after the public testimony is concluded, but the applicant, I believe, can come up and give its presentation related to the benefits of the project at this point in time. And after that, then we'll call for public comments.
Okay. Are there any comments in favor of this item?
I believe we need to have the applicant give their presentation at this point in time.
Okay, will you please give us a presentation?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Ron Holly. I'm a development consultant for Charles Company and the owner of the property, which is Corsair, which is a limited liability company that owns the property. This is the culmination of 5 years of intense effort to try and put a complete package of approvals before you. You heard the six items that we've requested, the general plan amendment, et cetera. And the project itself, I think you're probably already aware of and familiar with, but at the risk of being redundant, the project is a total of about 560,000 square feet. Our first phase is about half of that, about 250 to 280,000 square feet. We are a value-oriented project called an outlet center, which in this economy is one of the very few retailing venues that actually is up in terms of sales production. Most of the country is either flat or down, and the outlets segment is up over 40%. So there's a tremendous value shift in this country, and especially in border retailing, for quality products at a discounted price. 40 to 70% off on a quality piece of merchandise is very hard to resist, as evidenced by a number of very successful outlet centers. Go ahead, Francisco. Our project will have kind of no, go back to that one, please. Kind of a bizarre look on the interior. We're very conscious of the intense heat and sun that the community gets for 6 months out of the year. And so we'll be providing various components and elements that will provide shade as well as misters and so forth to try and provide a comfortable atmosphere to shop. Inside the shops themselves, of course, they'll be air conditioned, but the general corridors and so forth will basically be ambient. Now, with the misters and with the shading, our feeling and our experience has been, and we have a Phoenix architect, so we have pretty good experience there, it'll drop the temperature anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees inside the corridors, which we feel will be comfortable enough for shoppers to do some leisurely shopping. Okay, next slide. The benefits of the $94 million project, hopefully you can see that. We're projecting $141 million in sales, and that's very conservative, candidly. Las Americas does about $500 a square foot, as an example. If we did $500 a square foot, we would be doing over $250 million in sales. The city gets 1% of that, so you can do the math. It ranges anywhere from $1.4 million to $2.5 million, depending on what the sales accomplishment actually is on an annualized basis. So in terms of job production, the project will generate about 1,000 jobs. It says 902 on my slide up there, but there are a number of multiplier effects that the various agencies or research agencies, there's one called the National Association of Industrial and Office Research Foundation. They have come up with a very sophisticated analysis of how to calculate the number of jobs and so forth. And one thing that they did do, which we have not done, is they call a multiplier effect. And that multiplier effect basically produces another 25% of jobs. We don't even count those. So what I've basically said is we have about 1,000 jobs generated from the project ongoing and about 1,000 construction jobs, which we're pretty confident that is the case. Okay, next slide is a blank for me, but we handed out a handout a little bit earlier, and that basically is our current lease plan. I know the neighbors or the audience can't read this, but basically it shows the current list of tenants in our first phase that will be working on leases with very diligently. Our first phase will be about 88,000 square feet of committed leases. We just got approved yesterday by Nike, by their real estate committee. We got approved today by American Eagle's real estate committee. So both of those will be going forward in terms of putting leases together. We're also working with leases for Guess, Gap, PVH, which is Philip Van Heusen, which is Izod, Hilfiger, Bass, and a whole number of other brands. So, and all those are outlined on the package that was provided to council a little bit earlier. Go ahead. Then the next slide is one that everybody's familiar with, and that is the new border crossing that seems to be stuck in the mud, no pun intended, and hopefully that'll get going someday because it's desperately needed. I don't have to tell you, you live here and face it every day. Next slide. The list of tenants that we've been working with is this particular slide. This shows 138,000 square feet of retail tenants, and it gives a kind of a list of the sizes of each of these retailers. One of the things that we've experienced and we're particularly pleased about, and we feel like carpetbaggers almost, because we've been talking to these tenants for 5 years, and at first they wouldn't even give us the time of the day. And then they finally came out and they started doing tours with Francisco and others in our group, and they started getting excited. They started seeing the potential that this community holds for a retailing facility of what we're proposing. And so we're now suffering from those pains, growing pains a little bit, in that now, for instance, Nike wants 12,000 square feet instead of 10. Aeropostale wants 9,000 square feet instead of 7, and so on. And so everybody's starting to get excited because we're telling them, hey guys, our intention is to build phase 1, but we'd like to roll right into phase 2. And so if we can't fit you into phase 1, we'll put you in phase 2 and we'll build it, right next to phase 1, and you'll be 6 months behind. And so we're hoping to be able to get that kind of density of project interest from these other retailers that we can just do exactly that, just build the whole thing out at once. That would be ideal. But I'm not sure we can do that, but that's our hope. Okay, go ahead. Then the next page is just another list of part of the list of retailers, and then the next slide is a list of tours that we've conducted over the last 3 or 4 years. Then the next one talks about our market study. And our market study that we had conducted, and I've provided a copy to the city, helped us in the sense, it's about a 2.5, 3-year-old study now, but we checked out a number of things. We wanted to find out, first of all, our intuition is there's tremendous potential. You have population of 1 million people across the border. You have about 250, 300,000 Imperial County and surrounding areas that potentially would be attracted into our site location. But we wanted to get a professional view of what that really meant. And so what we did is we asked a number of questions. Go ahead and go to the next one. A number of questions to the community, both in Calexico and Mexicali. And we asked them, where do you shop now? Where would you like to shop? What would you like to see? What are your preferences? If you're across the border, why do you come back across the border? And so on. And the number of respondents was significant. And what we discovered, again, kind of matching our intuition, is about 80% of the customers are going to be female. They're going to be women. They do the bulk of the shopping. I'm sorry, it's a reality. And so, you know, we have to make sure that we cater to the needs of the female mind, as well as, you know, their ideals and needs to be thrifty and still get a quality offering and a value in their shopping dollar. And so, go to the next one. Through the market analysis, we asked them which brands did they like in particular. What was the top of mind location? Where do you go? Do you go to the El Centro Mall? Do you go to San Diego? Do you go to Viejas? What do you do? And so then to the next one, we started getting some answers. And one of the things they indicated to us was the shopping frequency, or the visiting frequency, is 1 to 3 times a month. And the main reason to visit the U.S., shopping was the main reason to visit the U.S. And most people visit the U.S. on a Saturday. Women tend to go in groups of 2 or 3, mostly accompanied by family members. 9 out of 10 women travel the U.S. by car. So we've got to make sure that we have ample parking, which we do. Then let's see, what else? Why are they coming across? I mean, one of the things that is pretty well known is this is a very successful Walmart in this community. Well, why is it successful with the Mexicali folks coming across the border? Because there's 6 Walmarts in Mexicali. I've asked that question. The answer, is what I've been told, is better quality produce and better quality apparel offering. And so that apparently is the key to success, and that's exactly what we're trying to provide, is a quality offering in apparel and other goods and services for that Mexicali customer, as well as Calexico. Next one. Let's see. Okay, then one of the things that was a bit of a surprise to us here, 8 out of 10 women visit U.S. shopping malls. 5 out of 10 women prefer Imperial Valley Mall and Walmart. Top visited malls are usually located in El Centro and Calexico. Well, basically, the city of Calexico is losing sales dollars, clearly. People are going to somewhere else, whether it's San Diego, El Centro, Brawley, Yuma, wherever they go. They're not, some are shopping here, certainly. All you have to do is stand in line at the bank, and you know there's some experience with some money in the town. But they're not getting the offering today that they deserve, and so they're shopping elsewhere. And so we're trying to stop that leakage, if you will. And we're trying to provide the offering to the community that they will stay here and spend their dollars in the city. So our conclusion from our market study was that this is the right project at the right time. And we've invested our dollars in the community, I think, as you know. And we've had a number of issues that we've dealt with and we're still dealing with. We have our plans that are virtually ready to be submitted for building permit review. And we are basically anxious to get going. Now, there are a number of other issues that we can discuss about traffic or job production or sales tax production or whatever, and I'm not sure now is the time to do it, but if there are any questions about those kinds of details, we'd be very happy to get into that detail level. So with that, if there are any questions, please let us know, but we'd very much appreciate your support and your approval.
Thank you for the presentation. Aguilar. Okay, we have an request for oral communication from Norma Aguilar. Will you please come to the podium? 17.
Norma Aguilar, 839 Heber Avenue, resident. My question is in regards to the Grand Plaza, first phase, second phase, third phase, whichever phase. Is there any effort going to be made to bring a bookstore? Such as Barnes and Nobles, any bookstore, because we have a desperate need for that in this valley.
Through the chair. With respect to a bookstore, one of the main emphasis, or one of the main approaches is a value offering. And unfortunately right now, with Barnes & Noble and Borders having just gone out of business, Amazon.com and other book purveyors have gone digital for the most part. And so it's very difficult to offer a value offering in a bookstore concept. We would love to do that, frankly. If we could find an Amazon outlet, we would put it in. But we're not going to put in a retail facility that charges 40 to 70% more than all of the rest of our product offerings. So we can't really do that. But if we can find one that offers outlet pricing, you bet. We're right there.
Yeah, along the lines, perhaps of, there might be something out there that could offer educational materials, not just books. So, we have needs for that. So just keep that in mind, that women also shop for books and educational materials.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Okay. Any more comments from the public? No? Any comments from my colleagues? Questions?
I need to make a few more comments too. I don't know if the council wants to ask some questions or if we need some additional comments to make. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a few things I wanted to add to the record. I believe there are no other public comments out here at this point in time, but the city did receive 2 letters that need to be added to the record. One of the letters was received from El Ramate Inc. at 4 p.m. today regarding the Grand Plaza project, and they discussed various things in their letters. And in addition to that, the city received an email today at 4:55 p.m. from Carrie Taylor on behalf of Creed 21 and the Briggs Law Corporation regarding the Grand Plaza project. I have a few comments I want to make in response to these letters. First of all, the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on November 28th, as was mentioned previously, where they discussed all of the entitlements for this project, and they approved the resolutions recommending that the council approve all the entitlements.
Was that this year?
Yes.
Okay,
It was
the
November
report-
28th, 2011.
The report on the top of page 2 says 2008. So we need to correct that. We need to correct that now.
Yes. So the Planning Commission hearing, Planning Commission did hold a legally advertised public hearing on November 28th, 2011, and they considered all 6 of these project entitlements, and as I mentioned, they approved resolutions on all of them recommending that the council approve these. Those resolutions are attached in the staff report in the agenda packet. The other action that they took that night was that they canceled a public hearing related to this project that was previously scheduled for January 2012. So obviously, with the legally advertised public hearing on November 28th, 2011, there is no need to have another Planning Commission hearing in January 2012. So they took action on November 28th, and they closed that public hearing. I believe one of the comment letters seems to confuse that and mentions a future Planning Commission hearing. There will be no future Planning Commission hearing if council takes final action tonight. So this, in addition to the Planning Commission hearing having been properly noticed by publication to the newspaper and to surrounding property owners, this council public hearing for December 20th was also legally advertised pursuant to the provisions of the government code, 10 days in advance, notice to the property owner. So I just want to clarify that for the record. Additionally, I would like to ask Mr. Mike Hogan, he is the city's CEQA legal expert, to come up and make some additional comments in response to these comment letters that were received, if the council will allow him to come up.
Thank you, City Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor Castro, members of the council. My name is Michael Hogan, and as the city attorney indicated, I've been hired by the city to assist in the preparation of the environmental documents and to review any comments the city receives relating to the adequacy of the environmental documents. As Ms. Lyon indicated, we received 2 letters today, and unfortunately, because of the claims made in the letter, I'm going to have to ask if you'll be patient with me. I need to go through with you the claims made in the letter and why they are not legitimate claims that would require you to stop and go back and redo the environmental review. But it's necessary to do that in the public hearing, so I appreciate your patience as I go through those. The first thing that's important to point out to you is the city did have prepared both a draft environmental impact report and a final environmental impact report. They identified a number of potential adverse environmental impacts the project would have, and they identified certain impacts that simply could not be mitigated even after the adoption of all the recommended mitigation measures. And those related to air quality, to greenhouse gas emissions, to noise, and to traffic. Because there would be some unmitigated impacts, the city is then required to look at alternatives to doing the project. Is there any other way you could do the project that would reduce the impacts so they were no longer significant? One of the alternatives the EIR studied was called the reduced density alternative. It simply means if you made a smaller project than the applicant is proposing, you would have fewer environmental impacts, less traffic, less air impacts, and so on. So the EIR prepared by the city studied that. Because it looks like it would reduce impacts, then the question is it actually feasible to build a smaller project? And in the EIR, we studied the project about 40% smaller than what's proposed. In response to that, we received from the project applicant some information which indicates that it would not be financially or business feasible to build a center that's 40% smaller than is proposed. And that information is in your council packet. I believe it's attachment 9 to your packet, is information from the applicant which shows why it would not be feasible to build a smaller project and avoid the impacts. The other thing we received is from the applicant is something called an addendum or an updated traffic impact analysis, which was presented to the Planning Commission. It's in your packet as attachments 7 and 8, and it indicates that because of the change in the economy and many fewer future projects being planned or being coming online than originally anticipated, and because of updated traffic counts taken in 2011 and lower traffic than originally anticipated, the project would actually have fewer traffic impacts and therefore require fewer mitigation measures than discussed in the EIR. All this information is contained, it was presented to the Planning Commission, and it's in your packets at attachments 7 and 8. Okay, you'll be asked to, at the end of the presentation, after you discuss the project among yourselves and when you're required to make a decision, if you decide to approve the project and to certify the EIR as being adequate and complete, you'll have to make certain findings relating to the impacts. And because there are unmitigated impacts relating to air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, and traffic, you'll have to decide whether the project will have enough benefits to the city and to the surrounding area that the impacts will be acceptable because of the benefits the project brings. And the project applicant, both at the Planning Commission and here, has described some of those benefits, which include, of course, sales tax receipts for the city, so there are financial benefits, as well as employment opportunities, both in construction and on a permanent basis. I won't repeat all that information, but that's already been presented. Now, let me just, if I could, just switch over to the comments or the letters which Ms. Lyon identified. There are two letters which came in today. If I could ask, perhaps, Mayor Castro, if I could ask you, there was only one speaker from the public. Could I ask whether the people who submitted these letters at about 5 o'clock today, whether either Brenda Martinez of El Remate Inc. is present tonight? And I'm going to say this out loud for the record, but there appears to be no response, so I'm assuming she's not present. Could I also ask whether either Mr. Corey J. Briggs or Ms. Carrie Taylor of the Briggs Law Corporation, who are lawyers representing CREED, C-R-E-D 21, and Coalition for Honesty and Integrity in Calexico, are either Mr. Briggs or Ms. Taylor present tonight? And again, there's no response. Is anyone here present from CREED 21? Again, there's no response. And is there anyone here from Coalition for Honesty and Integrity in Calexico? Again, it appears that there's no one here from either the law firms or the people who submitted the letters. So since they won't be speaking, we have to deal with their letters. The letters raise, basically, they claim that the project would be inconsistent with your general plan in terms of traffic and noise. And with respect to traffic, I believe the claims made in the letter are simply incorrect. The EIR found that all of the impacts to traffic would be mitigated below significance. However, some of the mitigation measures depend on approval from Caltrans. And so out of an abundance of caution, because you can't control Caltrans, all you can do is ask Caltrans to assist in implementing the mitigation measures. Out of an abundance of caution, we said even though these impacts could be mitigated, because Caltrans is actually in control of it, we're going to conclude that they're unavoidable and unmitigated because we don't control it. So the problem could be solved if Caltrans will do so. With respect to noise, the noise impacts also, I believe, are consistent with the general plan. There may be some confusion about one of the tables, and that is with respect to cumulative noise impacts. There was a claim that there would be cumulative noise impacts which are inconsistent with your general plan, and it appears there might be some confusion when we look at the project itself and its contribution to a cumulative impact. Cumulative impact just means the project plus all other related projects in the future. It looks as if in table 3.9-11 of the EIR that the project will not have any contribution to this impact, and therefore it would not be significant. So I think that problem is addressed in the EIR. The next issues relate to the adequacy of the EIR itself, and they begin on page 3 of the letter, and I just have to run through each one quickly. There are only 4, so I'll try to conclude this quickly. The first one claims that the EIR should have included the Calexico Megapark project in the cumulative impact analysis. However, the EIR did not include it in the analysis because when we're preparing an EIR, this EIR has been in preparation for a couple of years now. The draft EIR was actually made available to the public in September of 2010. The law allows us to pick a cutoff date where we say we're going to begin preparing the EIR today, and any projects that come in after today, we just can't consider them. Otherwise, you can imagine when you do an EIR, if a new project were submitted yesterday, we couldn't stop the presses and consider that one yesterday. The Megapark project they want us to consider, you probably remember you approved it 2 years ago. The Briggs Law Firm filed a lawsuit to stop it, and they withdrew their application. It appears they're now reviving the application, but it was just revived on October 24th of 2011. And as I said, the draft EIR was prepared in September of 2010, and that was our cutoff point. Anything after that, we were not required to include. Second thing they claim is that the EIR states that all street segments will operate at LOSC or better except for SR 111. Again, I believe the traffic impacts are adequately covered in both the EIR and the addendum to the traffic analysis that was submitted by the applicant. The next thing they claim is that we should have recirculated the EIR to recirculate the traffic addendum and make that available. The city was very concerned about that issue. We discussed it with the project applicant. The project applicant, at its expense, retained lawyers to consider the issue, and we have, as part of the record, the letter from the applicant. It's dated October 20, 2011. It's from the Gaines and Stacy Law Firm in Encino, California, and it reviewed this issue carefully and concluded that the city was not required to recirculate the EIR because of the traffic addendum. The last point that's raised is, relates to what's called urban decay analysis. The law says when a project like this is proposed, you have to take a look at what impact the new project will have on your existing businesses, for example, in the downtown area. The EIR did that. Along with the lawyer's letter, we had the letter from El Remate Inc. saying that our urban decay analysis should have studied the impact of this project on the swap meets, on the El Remate swap meet and the Santo Tomas swap meets. What the EIR considered and what the law requires us to do is to look at not whether this project would cause other businesses to go down, but whether this project would cause other business to go down so far that they went out of business, abandoned their leases, walked away from their buildings. The buildings then sat vacant for a long time and eventually began to decay. It's sort of a chain of terrible things that happens. But the California Environmental Quality Act is only concerned with physical impacts, physical things that happen in the environment. So the loss of business is not an impact we're concerned about. But if the loss of business were so great that a business is closed and then the buildings were abandoned and the buildings themselves became an eyesore, a problem, that we'd have to study. As you can imagine, the swap meets, my understanding is, the swap meets are not conducted in buildings. They're conducted outdoors, so they were outside the scope of the EIR. So that's why they're not included. The last point that's made is at the very end of the letter submitted by the Briggs Law Corporation, they ask you to direct staff, to direct the city attorney, that if you decide to approve the project, to enter into what's called a tolling agreement. That's a fancy lawyer's word for tell the city attorney that this law firm doesn't have to file suit right away, and instead to allow the city time to negotiate a resolution of their objections. I would think that what would be worth doing is this, a couple thoughts. One is the law says that before these, let me step back a step. Very often when somebody sues the city, and I know you know this because you have a city policy about it, when people sue the city over development projects, they often want you to pay their attorney's fees if they're going to settle the lawsuit or if they win the lawsuit. And I believe the city has a very clear policy about that. The law also says that before they can claim their attorney's fees, they have to make a reasonable attempt to settle their dispute. And I think what we want to make very clear, and the reason I asked whether anybody was here tonight from these groups is, the city received this letter at 4:55 p.m. by email. No telephone call, no one here to tell you about what their objections are. We don't believe it's a reasonable, and there was no settlement offer or settlement demand, other than don't approve the project. So we want to be very clear that this is not a reasonable settlement effort to simply say, allow us more time to sue you. The draft EIR was made available to the public in September 2010. That's over a year ago. The law allows people who have objections a formal period within which to send these letters to us so we can respond. This is the first we've ever heard for them, so I want to emphasize it's not a reasonable settlement effort on their part. What we'd like you to do would be to do two things. One is, if you decide to approve the project, out of an abundance of caution to make sure the city is best protected, we would ask you to allow the city attorney to have discretion to enter into a tolling agreement if deemed in the best interest of the city with these two organizations only, Creed 21 and the Coalition for Honesty and Integrity in Calexico. Those two groups only. Anybody else, if they want to sue you, they're going to have to go ahead and do it. And then if the city attorney decides it's in the best interest of the city to allow them more time to sue so we can try to negotiate a resolution of this, that the city attorney has the discretion to do that. And the city, of course, would reserve its rights to object, even if there is a lawsuit later, to object that this was certainly not a reasonable settlement effort. With that, I think that's all I had to cover, so unless you have any questions, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir, for your information.
Mr. Mayor, I believe Mr. Servine did have a few more comments to make related to, I believe we got a comment letter from the County of Imperial yesterday, so he had a few comments to make with respect to that comment letter.
Go ahead, please, Mr. Servine.
At the Plan Commission at the 11th hour, well, 6 o'clock, 6:05 p.m., as we started our meeting, just before we started our meeting, Plan Commission, we received a letter from the County of Imperial where they say essentially that we did not notify them. However, we had received comments from Public Works at the county. Traditionally, we send it to all organizations. We did send it to the county, various offices at the county, so they had been alerted. In any event, we decided to see what their comments were. They did send a letter indicating that the EIR was not addressing certain conditions, similar to this other letter that Mr. Hogan just read. In that letter, they say essentially that the LOS on SR 86 and Dogwood Road were not addressed properly. Well, the EIR spent some time and did discuss that. As a matter of fact, they made recommendation for expansion up to Dogwood with further study and traffic studies subsequent to the second phase. At that time, another study would be enacted, and then we'd go from that point on. So the merits of their letter, there are no merits to the letter, and these items have been discussed ad nauseum in the EIR.
So what's the next step to follow up with the county? I mean, you already sent the letter to Calexico informed to them, but they say no, they don't receive nothing in.
Well, I did respond to their request, and I told them that we did respond to them, and I pointed to the page in the EIR where we did actually respond to them.
You said something, Mr. Mayor, if you will, you said something about Dogwood Road and State Route 86, that we didn't mitigate any expansion, or what was it? What was that again you said, Mr. Servine?
The extension of 2nd Street to Dogwood Road is one. The other one is SR 86/Dogwood Road improvements that they were not addressed in the EIR.
So what were they requesting that we do?
They're requesting that we do address them and that we provide a fair share, or the development provide their fair share.
This is the county road intersection, 2nd Street and Dogwood?
Right, because of the cumulative impacts from the project to the county intersection of the streets.
As I recall, I'm thinking about where this is. This is going east on 2nd Street. I'm sorry.
West.
West on 2nd Street and going past the airport.
That's Carl
all the
Road.
way down, there is an intersection, Dogwood, and it's a two-way country road?
Yes.
Did the mall address a lot of these country roads when they built it?
Yes, we did. I'll let the traffic engineer respond to that.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm Ray Abbasi. Do some of the traffic engineering for the project. The letter that Nick was referring to, I also reviewed. They were referring to two things. One is that in the EIR it does mention, and there's actually no analysis. And if someday Second Street will extend it to intersect Dogwood, then they expect analysis to be done. Not that they're saying there's an intersection. They're saying if someday was, then it needs to be analysis, because then there would be other traffic coming from the east to the project. But it's only a comment in the EIR with regards to if there ever was an extension of Second Street to Dogwood, then there need to be some analysis.
And right now, there's a T intersection
There is
at
no-
98
there is
and
no
Dogwood.
connection,
At
yes.
98 and Dogwood.
That's correct.
But that's where it ends.
That's it. Yeah, there's no. They were just referring to if there ever was an extension of Second Street, there should be looked at in terms of some analysis on the access points to the project.
Right.
But then some of the traffic that's coming to the project would be coming from the west, and therefore there would have to be analysis done at that time. But it was never considered as a part of the project analysis.
There is a road off
Car
of
road.
98,
Oh.
off of 98 that goes south toward Second Street.
It's Carr Road.
It's
not
Car
Second
Road.
Street.
No. It's not
No.
Car Road. Car Road comes in from the port of entry.
Well, Second Street.
No, I'm sorry,
converts
98.
Into Carr.
98, there's a road
Yes.
right by the landfill.
That's correct.
What-
On the west side.
Hammers, who's it? Hammers, yes, that's it. Was that addressed? I mean, to me, that sounds like a logical street to address if people come from the west.
It really when the EIR was prepared by LLG, which is the traffic consultant who prepared the traffic impact analysis. No, it wasn't within the sphere of influence of this project. There wasn't enough population coming from that direction that would warrant analysis. Just as a matter of records, I'm a registered traffic engineer and a registered civil engineer in the state of California, just in case you want to know. But the second item that was mentioned in the letter was with regards to our analysis of the intersection of 98 and Dogwood, correct? And it is mentioned in EIR, and we are contributing our fair share based on our impact to that intersection, to the county. I think there just may have been an oversight on their part where they did not.
Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
you said if there was an extension.
That's the key.
Second to Dogwood, it'd have to be addressed. Do you feel with the project that we're doing that it might have to be, or it's irrelevant?
No, sir. It just was one of the what-if condition that the consultant was dealing with. If there ever was extension by the city, it's not required by the project.
Not
Project is
required.
well served by Second Streat to the east. But if ever there was a capital project by the city where they felt there's a need to extend Second Street to Dogwood, in that case, they would have wanted the traffic circulation at the access point to the project to be analyzed, nothing more than that.
So once again, for traffic purposes?
Yes, sir.
It's not required?
No, it's not.
It is understood that Second Street is converted to Carr Road.
No. on the
Yes, it
west.
is, on both sides.
Anza Road, isn't it?
Oh, Anza Road.
It's Anza Road.
Correct.
I stand corrected on
We
that.
still
Within
live
the
over
county, yes, Dogwood changed its name to Anza.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I have a question. The infrastructure improvements along Second Street, just for clarification, the New River Bridge was addressed, is that correct?
Pardon me, say it again?
The infrastructure improvements, curbs, sidewalks, gutters, the New River Bridge that...
The New River?
Yeah, the New River
Yes.
Bridge, was that addressed?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It will be, as a part of the improvement, New River Bridge will be 4-lane as well.
Okay. And a lot of these infrastructure improvements that are on the public right-of-ways, who will they be financed by? Would it be Measure D, the city, your project? Is it a combination of,
The developer's contributing to the southern part of Second Street, and the airport FAA funds are contributing to the north part of it.
okay, no Measure D funds are used in this project?
No,
That's only for refurbishing?
correct.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm interested in knowing who is it that sent that letter from the county?
Mr. Armando Villa.
Yeah, keep it.
The most recent one? Okay.
Thank you.
Did any used to work here?
I'm glad you're
What?
amused.
What do you expect? Okay, thank you for your information. And also, we have another oral communication from Jesus Jimenez. Jaime. Thank you, Jaime.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Jaime Jimenez, 5 Palm Drive, and I've been putting attention into this meeting, especially on the Grand Plaza project. And I would like to point out that Calexico has been known for the last years to have an unemployment rate of higher than 20%, 26% some years, 27 some other, but it has been one of the highest in the United States. And that is felt through the community because there's people that are losing houses or their homes, and the people is suffering. So here we have the opportunity of, and the lack of having some people wanting to invest in the area. So I think that these projects should be supported by the city government. I know that progress brings along problems too, and we know that the farm workers that come across to work in the fields that we need them to work in the fields to produce, to make the field produce the products. We know that they use a downtown area like toilet. We have discussed this matter before, and what the city did, or well, they addressed it. They put temporary restrooms, right? So we know that the cheap flogs that comes to the valley, they bring fleas with them, but we tolerate them. We know that the farming requires the use of pesticides, and some people are allergic to it and suffer from it, but what we do, we tolerate it, right? So we know that this project will probably bring along traffic, noise, more people on the streets, maybe a little bit more of pollution, but those are byproducts of employment, of progress. The only thing we need to do is put attention to how we will handle those. But if we have no works, then the city is gonna little by little die. And so I really want to stand out that the casino project too, and this project should be supported by the city. Calexico needs jobs, and that's the bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. There are
Mr.
any comments?
I have one last comment to make.
Okay.
Were you going to request any more comments from the public, or were you going to begin the council discussion?
No, from the public, and after that, to my colleagues.
Okay. As part of attachment 2, which is the tentative map resolution, condition 1 is a standard condition in all development projects that requires the applicant to defend and indemnify the city if there is to be a lawsuit filed. As Mr. Hogan mentioned, these letters were submitted, and the one, or I should say Creed 21 and also Chick had recommended a tolling agreement. So what we would be actually recommending is that the currently condition number 1 in attachment 2 requires the applicant to submit a deposit for defense and indemnification within 10 days of a lawsuit being filed. Being that Mr. Briggs is requesting that there's a tolling agreement before a lawsuit is filed, we would actually, staff recommends that that condition be modified to say that the cash deposit for indemnification shall be submitted 10 days after the council approves this project, if it does. So that would be 10 days from December 20th, the council approves it tonight. So in addition to recommending that, when the council considers this resolution, as an additional matter pursuant to that condition, staff has negotiated a joint defense and indemnification agreement with the applicant, which they have signed. Again, that agreement requires the deposit within 10 days of a lawsuit being filed. So we would actually recommend that the joint defense agreement be modified so that the cash deposit is due within 10 days of council's approval, if council approves it. And I would ask that the mayor ask the applicant to step forward. I believe they're agreeable to that, but I would just like the applicant to be able to make that statement on the record so that you know that the applicant is in favor of that modification to the joint defense agreement.
Thank you, City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, Ron Holly again for Corsair. That modification to our indemnity agreement's fine. We're amenable to that.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to, if there are no further public comments, I would request that the council go ahead and close the public hearing, and then the council can discuss this amongst itself. Once the council is ready to consider some motions, I would request that you look to me to help guide you, because there are six different resolutions, and there's an order that should be, the council should consider it in, and I will express any modifications to those resolutions when we get to that point in time.
Okay, so any more council from, any more comment from the council? Okay, let me ask the last question. Are there any comments opposing on this project from the public? No, okay. I'm gonna close the public hearing at 8:30, and we are gonna start with, are there any comments from my colleagues regarding this item?
Well, I'd just like to say that this project has been long overdue. It's been in the works in the early 2000s. As I recall, as a planning commissioner, I'm glad that we've come this far, finally. As mentioned by Mr. Jimenez, this is a job creator. This is an enhancer of the quality of life. In the city of Calexico, this is giving our citizens, our residents, our visitors choices on where to shop. It's putting people to work, not only in construction, but in retail. I'm glad that we had our CEQA attorney. What was your name, sir?
Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Hogan, thank you very much for going over those two letters that we got at the 11th hour. But this is going to be a feather in the cap of the city of Calexico that has been long awaited. I can't tell you how happy I am that we've come this far, and we're looking forward to not only this first phase, but the second phase, and perhaps maybe even a third or fourth or fifth phase if there is one. But I thank you, the Charles Company, for coming forward and really working diligently with the city and other entities throughout the community for all these years, and of course, Mr. Garbey, who's just, itching to get this thing off the ground and break ground and move forward. So, I challenge the rest of the council to not drag their feet on this one, if you will, and give it the approval, as I will make a motion to approve the items.
Well, I'd like to say something.
Any more comments?
I'd like to make a comment.
Please.
Just to elaborate or definitely concur with Mayor Moreno's comments. I think this is not, did I say mayor?
That's okay, Bill.
You were former.
That's okay, only for a few minutes.
Up here,
No problem.
we get the names wrong. This is not the time. This is the time, and we have been prudent and diligent, and it's taken a long time. I'm very convinced because I have been given proof and explanation that Charles Company is well invested in this project, and you are highly committed, and that says a lot. And we need to continue with that commitment together. And this is not a time to be timid. We're in politics and in development, in the process of growth. You always have various interests that there's going to be conflicts. But I say, let's move forward and let's, rise the quality of life for Calexico and the Imperial Valley. It's just not Calexico. People from Mexicali and the Imperial Valley are all going to benefit from this. So thank you for your hard work. Also, for the city, Mr. Mark, and please, I always have problems with this last name, so please, Vasquez. Sir, I want to congratulate you and your staff in the planning department for your hard work. You've been on for 1 year, and we see some definite results here due to your hard work and dedication and the staff, everybody involved. So I want to congratulate and thank the City of Calexico and the relevant departments that have worked so hard here, and City Manager also, everyone. So let's move forward. Let's get this done so that we have reason to celebrate. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman. Thank you, Mr. Brijols. Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado.
As a female shopper that I've been identified that I would be one of your customers. My mother, who was a great businesswoman, God rest her soul, because she passed away 15 years ago, she always said, there's a piece of the pie for everyone, Maritza. Because as a business owner in the type of business that I have in downtown, there's so many others that have businesses such as ours. And in thinking what this what will occur after this project is completed is that now we will have many different options. And basically, as a female shopper and with a 15-year-old that's learning to shop as I am, someone who's very careful and prudent with money, especially nowadays, I shop in downtown for certain things. I shop at the swap meet for certain things. I shop at Walmart for certain things, and I will most definitely shop at our new outlets for certain things. So I congratulate you for your hard work and for the staff as well. And unfortunately, we did have a negative comment there from a previous staff member about this project, but so be it. There will always be opposition. However, in this council and in this administration and city, we're ready to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor Pro Tem Romero.
Former Mayor Moreno made a comment about not dragging it on, and Bill Hodge dragged it on. With all due respect, Councilman Hodge. Yes, we talk about it as a relief for the city of Calexico, of what this means for the city, a landmark, which, if you will, it's going to be something where now it's going to be where people can come and visit Calexico and stay in Calexico. We've been such a pass-through community to go to Mexicali or go to Real Centro, and now we're going to receive those benefits of it, of the people staying and shopping in Calexico. Now they have options of downtown, now they're going to have options of the small. I think it's a great project, but the relief, if anything, you project owners have been on it since 2000?
Something like that.
And it's 2011. You should be given an award for your patience, because this is incredible. But in that regard, more than anything else, we thank you for putting your heart and soul into the city of Calexico, and I hope everybody wins out in every regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. But definitely, I'm concur with my colleagues. I mean, they say that, we are gonna have jobs. This company create jobs for the city of Calexico, and like Mr. Jaime Jimenez said, we need jobs, and I want to thanks for that, and we need to move forward, and I feel proud that Charles company is working on it, so congratulations, and when is going to come the groundbreaking? We have, well, I know we need to approve it first, but, I jump before, right? So, well, anyway, we need to move forward. When?
March of 2012?
You heard that?
Get your question answered, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you again. And also, I believe, Mr. City Attorney, can you guide us on the,
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Environmental Impact Report 2011-01.
Yes, that is the resolution in attachment 5. That's exactly the one I was going to say is the first one. The other thing I wanted to mention is that all of the resolutions, I would request a standing condition that they're approved, if they're approved on the condition that the joint defense and indemnification agreement be modified as I suggested and the deposit be due within 10 days of council approval. So I won't repeat that. That's going to be a standing condition for all of the approvals, and council can make the motion with respect to the resolution attachment 5 on the EIR.
one by one, or?
Yes, we're going to do these one by one. The first motion will be attachment 5, the EIR resolution.
With the clause that you mentioned.
Yes.
I changed my motion to include the clause.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Let's call for the vote.
Can I second it for further discussion?
Okay. Motion carry 5-0.
I'd like to move that we approve the general plan amendment.
Second.
Land use.
And that is the resolution under attachment 1.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0.
Also like to make a motion to approve the tentative subdivision map. Is that next?
Yes, I believe it is, and that is under attachment 2. And I will say, I'll give you a specific modification to this because condition number 1 in this is the indemnification obligation that should be changed in addition to the joint defense agreement to specify the deposit due within 10 days of council approval. So that will be modified with your motion on attachment number 2.
Okay, that will be included with that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Moreno and Councilman Bill Hatch. Let's call for the vote.
It's 5-0.
Motion carry 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion for development review.
Actually, I'm going to ask you to do the zone change ordinance next. That's under attachment number 6.
Okay.
And I do have to read the title of the ordinance, and so that council's motion will be to introduce by way of reading the title only. You'll waive the full reading. And it's an ordinance of the City of Calexico, California, approving the zone change pre-zone to change the zoning classification for the Calexico Grand Plaza project area to CH Commercial Highway.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion with
Second.
that
Okay, we have a
attachment stated.
motion by Councilman Bill Hatch and second by Councilman Moreno. Motion carry 5-0.
Move to approve development review. Is that next?
Yes. And that is under attachment number 3, the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Moreno and second by Councilman Bill Hatch. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0.
And finally, a motion to approve the variance.
And that is under attachment number 4.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Moreno and second by Councilman Bill Hatch. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0. Motion carry 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, the one last thing, it's not listed as one of the resolutions, but was mentioned by Mr. Hogan, was the authorization by the council to the city attorney to negotiate a tolling agreement subject to our rights and reservations as a city with the two entities on the letter, which are Creed 21 and the Coalition for Honesty and Integrity in Calexico.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Moreno and second by Maritza Hurtado, Councilwoman. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0.
I do have a special request, City Manager. Since I did not participate in the motions for the project, I'd like to request a pink hard hat for the project for our groundbreaking services,
You got it, right, Ron? No problem.
because I will be your best shopper, you know that.
Pink shovel.
Mayor, we would like to also chime in. Ron and his group has been very instrumental in working out all of the different nuances that we've had up to this point. It has not always been harmonious. There's been some issues that we've had to deal with, but he has always been professional. His group has always been professional, and so we want to thank him for that, and we'll continue to work with your group to get this project done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item. Item number 17. Adopt an ordinance adopting the 2010 California Fire Code and 2009 International Fire Code with local amendments. I believe Mr. Fire Chief, can you give us an explanation on this item?
Good evening, Pete Mercado, Fire Chief. This is second reading that we're going to be having on the ordinance for the formal adoption of the fire code with all the appropriate appendices that we will be submitting to the Commission on Building Standards for adoption. This is just second reading, so we presented back in, I believe, November. So this is just a formal process of adopting the fire code for the state of California.
Okay. Any comments from my colleagues?
We do have to ask for public comments on this because it does have to be a formal public hearing related to this.
Okay, I would like to open a public hearing at 8:45. Any comment from my colleagues? Let me check this because I believe we have, yes, I have another communication from June Kim.
That's number 17.
No, it's 18. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're on 17.
No, this is 17, Mr. Kim. I
Sorry,
made a
Mr.
mistake.
No, we're on 17.
We are in 17, right? Yes, we are. Okay, any comment from the public in favor of this item? Any, there's no comments on this item? Okay, any comment from the items to oppose on this item? There's none, right? Any comments from my colleagues? Any comments? No? There's no other comment?
You have to close it.
Okay, so there's no comments? No.
Is this something you're doing?
This is the second reading, so we need to vote.
No, this isn't the second reading.
Yes?
This
Yes.
is.
Yeah. Then it was a second reading, the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem
Second.
Romero, second by Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado. Just call for the vote. Motion. Motion carry 5-0. Now we're gonna start with business item. And I believe, yes, I have an oral communication from, okay, let me read this. Consider adopting ordinance changing the date of the city council general municipal election and resolution requested by the board of supervisors to the county of Imperial to render specify service to the city related to the conduct and general municipal election and requesting consolidation of such election with a statewide election and county election to be held on November 6, 2012. And I have Mr. Jun Kim. Now we are in the item number 18.
Correct, sir.
Right, yes.
My name is John Kim. I'll make this short. It is understandable to the reason why we want to move the election date to the November to increase the public participations. But council takes a benefit from there that is gonna show the public that they self-extended their own terms. That's public's opinions. They've been keep telling me, keep calling me, they're discussing about this one. They're laughing at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Okay, we have, I believe, no. Any comment from my colleagues? Mr. Bill Hush?
No.
Councilman Bill Hush? Councilman Moreno?
If we were to adopt this policy, Mr. City Manager, how much savings would there be within the city over the next couple of cycles of elections?
It's hard to give you an amount, but obviously with the 3 election cycles, whether it be April, June, or November, the least expensive is November, because that's when you have most of the agencies participating.
Okay. So there would be a cost savings to the city for running the election?
Yes, there would. Once the elections are held in November, yes, there would be a cost savings.
That's all I have.
So you,
And greater participation.
okay, Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado, do you have any comments? Mayor Protein Romero?
I'm still tossed between approving it or not approving it. It's I was one that asked for for it to be moved to this meeting, and well, consensus of the council, is this something that is it still within the guidelines of the notification of days to take it to the next meeting, to the first meeting in January? Is there still enough days to notify anybody?
Yes. I believe our resolutions to call our June election have to be into the county sometime by the end of February or early March. So if council wanted to move this one more time to January, I think you would still be within the time. But I think the decision, if the decision is going to be made to give us enough time to modify documents, the January 10th date would probably be the last date to...
No, there's nothing to modify, it's just...
Well, the modification would be if the council is not satisfied with, or if the council does not want to move the election from June to November. But if the council wants to keep it in June, if the council wants to put an item on the ballot related to the city clerk's position, we would have to modify these documents, because the way these documents are set up is general election gets moved to November, special election in June.
All right.
So I think if you wanted to move this one more meeting, okay.
No more moving.
Okay.
No? So, okay, so there's no,
They're not going to move it.
we are not gonna move this item until the next council, right? That's your point? So, there's any one?
Is there a motion?
Is there any motion from my colleagues? Do you have comments on Mr. Moreno?
Well, to me, it was the cost savings, and I think perhaps even a greater participation in line with the other elections. I think it's not really an extension of term in the sense where you save money and then you align with other elections, the presidential elections. So every 2 years in November, the city now is in line with state initiatives, school board elections, county elections. So to me, I think it's something that's doable, something that's a win-win. But
Have we sought out the community input? I know that people have approached me very little.
yeah, people have approached me thinking that this is a good thing. I've had a few that were not
In favor?
that they would rather wait, but the majority of people I've polled, if you will, felt that this was a good thing.
At first, for me, I vacillated on it. I tossed it around, but I had to come up with what was my main standard, and it is the quality of democracy. And so the cost saving is important, but it will bring greater participation in the democratic process. So that's why I have chosen to vote yes on it.
Okay, we have a motion? Who made the motion?
Okay, I'll make the motion that
Okay, we have
approve
a
this,
motion
item number
by
18.
Councilman Bilhach and second by,
I'll second it. I'll go ahead and second it.
okay. We have a motion and second, let's call for the vote. Second by Councilman Moreno. Motion carried by 0. Okay, next item.
Mr. Mayor, there's an ordinance and a resolution. So the first motion would be related to the ordinance. And because it's an ordinance, I need to go ahead and read the title. It's
Okay.
an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Calexico, California, changing the date of its general municipal election, requesting the Board of Supervisors of the County of Imperial to render specified services to the city relating to the conduct of a general municipal election, and requesting consolidation of such election with the statewide general election and county general election to be held on November 6, 2012. And so now, if you would entertain a motion related to the resolution, which is another part of putting the election in November. And it is the second document attached to the staff report.
Do we have to make a motion on that? What is it specifically?
The original ordinance went ahead and moved the election date. The resolution is the official document that calls the election date for November 6th.
So what is the exact wording you just said?
I can read the title of the resolution if you want to make it. Okay, so it's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico, California, requesting the Board of Supervisors of the County of Imperial to render specified services to the city relating to the conduct of a general municipal election and to consolidate such election with any state or local election to be held on Tuesday, November 6, 2012.
All right, I'd like to make a motion on that item and the content that you've just said.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that motion.
So there is a motion and then the resolution, right, City Attorney?
Yes,
So I need to call first
a vote on the reso, yes.
on the motion?
Yes.
First, okay. We have, I believe, motion by Councilman Bill Hodge, and second by who? By Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado. Let's call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0. Now, we need to make a motion on the resolution.
That was the resolution.
Oh, that's the resolution.
Just call for the vote.
Okay, now item number 19. Consider in adopting a resolution calling and giving notice to the holding of a special municipal election to held on June 5th, 2012, for the purpose of submission of ballot measure to the voters related to changing the status of the city clerk and city treasurer from elected to appointed. Any comments from my colleagues? Any questions? Consider in adopting.
Calendar reminder, not a call.
Consider.
If there's been any discussion, I'd like to motion for its approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have, I have a question. The wording on this, from elected to appointed, okay. If we appoint someone for city clerk and city treasurer, can the city attorney, can you put on the wording at will appointed, or?
Yes, those positions would be, they would be essentially department head positions. And the council will have the decision, if the voters approve the measure, the council will have the decision whether the council will make the appointments, as right now the council appoints the city attorney and the city manager, or the council can delegate that authority to the city manager. But yes, those will become at-will appointments, similar to department head positions that are at-will.
Okay. All right, so, and just to clarify, you mentioned either the council can decide on the appointment, or either city manager.
It will not, the only thing that's going to the voters is, do you want these positions to become appointed positions?
Okay.
And then under.
Now I understand.
Right, and then if they
And
approve
then-
it, we will bring an item to the council, if that measure is approved, to say, do you want to keep the appointment, or do you want to delegate that authority to the city manager?
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, I understand that. I didn't get it, but
Not a problem. That was something we had to do additional research on also.
okay, do we
I
have?
have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
When it gets to the ballot, is this going to be on an individually or both together?
It's exactly as the resolution has the question, shall the offices of city clerk and city treasurer be appointed?
So for both positions, it'll be under one
Yes.
language?
It'll be under one language.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention before council makes a motion is there's a resolution that council can consider, and then there is a sample ballot argument that was drafted and put in the agenda item, and if the council wants to discuss that after you discuss or approve the resolution, we would like to get some direction if council wants to submit that ballot argument. So the resolution would be first, and then we can discuss the ballot argument after that.
Thank you, City Attorney. And we have another oral request communication from John King. Item number 19.
First of all, congratulations for the city council, the members. 5 extra terms you're going to be enjoyed. Agenda 19, the city clerk and treasury of the city, they are checking and balance for the cities. This is one of the core of the democracies. And now city wants to delete in that process, take away from the public to put in administration hands or their own hands. Let the public represented to do that job, check and balance. That's my request. I believe the community got mad on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. And we have another oral communication by Benny Horton.
I had a Ben Horton, 712 Lincoln. I had a question in reference to this particular. If a citizen or any individual wanted to mount a campaign against it, is there any problem about doing that? Because I know the city can't mount a campaign for it. So how would that work out?
Right, the city cannot spend public funds in favor of against. However, because the city is submitting the ballot measure, the city council is allowed, if it wants to submit a ballot argument in favor of the item, because if they're approving it and submitting it, they can do that. But then, right, any citizen can proceed under campaign laws or.
So they could put posters up, mount a campaign against it, and it would be nothing that would say they couldn't do it, if I understand that.
There will be nothing that the city can do about that?
In other words,
you can campaign.
I shouldn't say but an individual could campaign against this motion, put up posters, get funds from the public to campaign against it. Yes or no?
You can do it.
I just want to make sure I have the right understanding on this. Is that the...
Right. I mean, the city doesn't give advice to individuals that want to run campaigns, so I would suggest you seek, whatever guidance you need to. But obviously, as a general matter for elections, people can go in favor or against election. So
Right. That's the question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Okay, there's no more comments on this.
I do.
I think Mr. Hermosillo wants to say something.
Mr. Hermosillo, why don't you come up and instead of relaying the question?
No, well, I have my signature up there. If on this election, will a person be able to run on the 5th for the city clerk? And if they, let's say if it didn't pass it, would they be part of it? So how would that work?
Okay, so the prior agenda item that the council approved, the ordinance, it extends all the terms. So it extends the city treasurer's terms, the city clerk's terms, the city council members' terms to November of 2012. So this special election is to be held in June so that the results of the special election will be known before the campaign period of the November election begins.
Okay,
So if it's positive, then no one needs to run, because at the end of the term of office of the current city clerk and city treasurer, the council will make the decision about who's going to appoint the new positions.
Understood.
And then if it fails, people will be allowed to run.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
¿Sí? Señora Aguilar, Norma Aguilar. Sí, ¿verdad? Right?
Yes, sir, 39 Heber Avenue. Just for a point of refreshing our memories and clarifying, bless you, for the record, what was or is the intent of this move? What are the benefits and advantages of going in that direction so that people
City manager, can you answer that question, please?
I think one of it is financial, but the other thing that I think is more important is the complexity that is now occurring in municipalities. We really need some full-time people on board, and we need to make sure that the people who we do select are qualified. And so by making an appointed position, you obviously get a chance to put the position out and check qualifications and check experience and get somebody who you feel can really provide that position versus an elected position where you don't know. Whoever gets elected gets elected. We have no right to look at their qualifications and so on. So I think it's twofold, but the minor one being the financial, but I think more importantly is that running municipalities is just getting more and more complex, and keeping, particularly in keeping the records as a city clerk is very, very important to the organization. Need to make sure they're the keeper of all documentation for the city, and so we need to make sure that all the documentation is appropriate, and that when we get a request for documents, we have the documents available, and obviously that we have that information available so the staff can make appropriate decisions as well as the council.
Okay, so then I have one observation and then a second question. So I was here when it was brought up at one point, and I'm not sure whether Ms. Cordova was here, but I do remember that the city treasurer was here, and there was a question asked whether they had an objection or there was something. Was there some clarification from them in terms of that? As to what their feelings were as to that type of a change? Or what served the purpose, or, you know, I seem to recall that there was questions asked of the elected individuals. But if you can't remember, that's fine.
Yeah, I think the
That's
only
fine.
thing I remember was
Okay,
when he was asked how
so-
much time he actually spent here. It was very limited.
Okay, so then I'll move on to my question. I'm going to play devil's advocate. So if we know that we need a qualified person, and why can't the election be changed to reflect that that person has to meet certain qualifications in order to run for that position that are specific, case specific to that position? For example, treasurer, having a background in finance or some degree in that aspect. And along this, I'm just putting it out there. Not saying, not telling you one way or the other, but just food for thought.
Jaime Jimenez.
Jaime Jimenez, 5 Paul Drive. The way you put it, Mr. Oscar Rodriguez, it sounds like you're calling the people of Calexico that elect people retarded, like meaning that they cannot choose
I take
the
objection
right
to that
person.
classification.
I
but-
mean, it sounded like that because you said we're getting the people that elect the officials are making mistakes and putting people that are not prepared.
I didn't say that.
Well, it sounds.
Don't put words in my mouth, please.
Can you repeat what you say then?
I said that an elected, people that get elected, we cannot review their qualifications. So if they get elected, they get elected. We have no right to review their qualifications.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, like Ms. Norma just said, let the people choose. And what you can say though is we need somebody that is prepared to be a treasurer. So put out that message and let the people know that they have to look out for somebody that is prepared. But I think that if this person is appointed, then we're losing one safety pin on democracy and on watching what happens to the money and to the operation of the city. That's my point of view, and I wanted to express it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. I believe, what's your name? Efrain, will you please?
Efrain Manriquez, 2160 Acuña. I think the way Mr. Rodriguez expressed it, I agree with him. In politics, everything is possible. So the way he mentioned it, I 100% agree with it. But What I don't agree with number 19, business item number 19, is that it should be specified separately on the ballot, because there's a big difference between a city clerk and a city treasurer. And specifically, the city treasurer should be appointed by you guys, because like in any corporate, it should be a check and balance between the big head of a division and the CFO. So you should be the one that appoint the city treasurer. That's my only.
Thank you. Okay, so consider. We have we have a motion. We have a motion on that.
There's no motion.
There's no motion? It's only consider adopting. There's no motion, huh? So, City Attorney, there is no motion on this item?
Oh, yes, if the council wants to entertain a motion, it would be the resolution that's attached with any changes if you want to modify it. So, I mean, if the council doesn't want to make a motion to move forward on it, that's your right too, so wherever you want to go.
So
would like
what is
to-
the desires of this council?
I would like to motion for discussion to consider what the gentleman just said. Separating the two decisions that we would put before the public, I believe we should discuss that. And I think actually that is a good idea. They are two distinct positions, and they serve differently, and it may be something that we should consider. So
Mayor,
I would
as-
support that.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying I would support that.
Yeah, and as staff, we would concur with that. It would probably be a good idea to go ahead and separate them.
I agree. I think having them separate would allow people to have a better choice on what they feel is appropriate.
My only comment on that is that I'm, unfortunately, don't have the law in front of me tonight, so if you are going to make a motion to do that, I would condition upon, the motion would be conditioned upon me verifying that you can separate the ballot question that way. And if it is approved that way, and I verify that it can be done that way, then the resolution will not need to come back to you. It will just be modified pursuant to your motion tonight. If there is a problem with that, I will bring it back on January 10th, and we still have enough time to consider it if we can't put them together.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
then,
if we can't separate them, I'm sorry.
so I motion for its approval in consideration of further changes to separate,
To make it
based
individual.
based on your review, if it is in fact possible.
Okay.
So we have a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Maris Hurtado and second by Mayor Pro Tem. Let's call for the vote. Motion. Okay, motion carry 4-1. Next item, item number 20. Consider adopting an ordinance of the Council of the City of Calexico amending section 2.04.060 of chapter 204 of Calexico Municipal Code regarding the order of business on the City Council agenda. Okay, consider. And I believe we have another oral communication by Jun Kim. He's here.
Hi, my name is Jung Kim again. I remember early 2000, one of the city council meeting I was attended. The one of the agenda was all last, that is approving the project of the, I believe, the North Court Road, the house project was approving. And that construction company said, staff recommend me put this one, put last, that's why I came here last. And I was look around. That time, probably about 4 of the audience was there. So they don't want to have any rejection from the community. Now our city council wants the same tactic to the public to aware or warn out to wait until last meeting, then make sure not many people gonna come. And also I have a backup document here. Page 1, discussion, saying is the California Government Code section 54954.2, that is not in the order how they're going to put the agenda. Probably it's true, but they didn't see the Government Code 54954.3A. Several times in the Brown Act here, page 1819, and page 2728, page 59, and probably they're going to have more. Every section they said, any regular or special meeting on any subject which will be considered by legislative body before or during its consideration of the items. So which is before the meeting, before the items, they have to tell. Now, and say page 28, saying, in addition, the public has the right at every regular meeting to provide testimony on any matter under the legislative body's jurisdictions, which is, we are the regular meeting public comment entitled to refer the items. We should be able to, by the law, public should be able to discuss or comment before the regular meeting starts. They be able to touch all the city business, not in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim, for your comments. Any comments from my colleagues regarding this item?
I'll start with this one since I was the one that requested it for it to be in the agenda. Especially at the last council meeting, we were able to move the business items along, and that way with the persons that had business, like for example, earlier today we had the Ground Plaza. It's not necessary for them to be waiting when they are investors of millions of dollars to wait through the public comment session. The law does permit for the public comments to be taken to the end of the meeting. And anyway, this is why I feel strongly that this should be conducted at the end of the meeting so we can get the people that are involved in the business, working with the city of Calexico, to conclude it so they can leave, and then we can go into the public comments at the end of the meeting. Public comments. General public comments. We have to remember that the public does have the right to still make their comments during the discussion of the agendized items. So nothing is being avoided here. So you still have that right. Thank you.
Any comments from Councilwoman Marisa? No? Mr. Bill Hush?
This one's really tough. I respect Councilman Mayor Pro Tem's concerns here, I really do. And I understand for what various reasons why this has come forward. But again, democracy can be messy. Investments are important, but people come first.
Are you done? Yeah. You know, I've kicked this around as well, and I know why we put it on here. However, with circumstances may have changed. I think that our chairman or our mayor needs to get a better handle on running the meeting to move the items along. As it is now, we're going on 3 hours in our meeting, which I thought is a little extensive. However, public comments, I thought about it, and to change it because of one person, I don't think, kind of reconsidered, and I think maybe it should be at the beginning. But there should be an adherence to the three-minute time limit, and an adherence to who's ever speaking at the podium to address the issue and not the person or what have you, but to base discussion on the merits of the issue only. So at this point, I would reconsider on this one. But that's not to say if we need it, we may have to bring it back. But I think today we may have gotten a handle on it. That's how I feel.
That's it. I agree with Mr. Moreno. I don't feel that people need to wait 2 or 3 hours. For me, it's not fair to the people to stay long time for public comments. And definitely, I'm not supporting this item. Okay. We need to motion on.
Me?
I'm sorry. This is, I forgot about you. Come on. This
Thank
is
you.
my first time.
I'm always so quiet.
I always mention Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado.
What hasn't been fair lately is the loss of control of our meetings, and unfortunately, we have found that these agenda items have been necessary to not only bring them onto the agenda, but also to bring them out to the public and to ensure that you see the concern that we have. If you visit us often at these recent meetings within the last couple of months, you have seen the loss of control, unfortunately, and it is a very serious concern. I don't mind whatsoever that we support something like this. However, there's probably because there's something in my mind that one of my friends who's also very active in our community continues to remind me about, is that these meetings are city council meetings being held in public. They are not public meetings, and because we have an agenda that we follow, and each agenda item has a certain opportunity for the public to speak in. However, the order and the agendas have not been followed, and so unfortunately we have come to these needs of searching out options. So if the remaining balance of the council feels that we should maybe put this item in the future for future consideration, I would support you on that. However, I believe that maybe we should discuss other important issues as to why these issues are occurring. So I would support the removal of this item for now.
Okay. So we have a motion?
No.
No?
I don't know. Did you motion?
No, she motioned for the removal.
Oh. So Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado
I'll
Do
second.
we vote on the removal?
to remove this?
It's up to council. If you just want to, if no one makes a motion, then it dies and it doesn't go forward. If you want to make a motion to formally remove it from the agenda, you could do that too, but I think the discussion has been had, so.
I'll motion it. Let it go down, defeat if it must.
I'll second Mr. Romero.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem and second by Councilman Moreno.
For removal.
For
No, not for removal.
No, not for removal?
His motion was to approve.
Oh, I rescind my motion, my
So
second.
there's no vote.
There's no second.
There's no second.
Okay.
Okay. Item, okay, next item. Discussion regarding funding of downtown landscaping, cleaning service and contract with Advanced Service. And I believe Mr. Oscar Rodriguez, can you give us information about
Sure.
this?
I'll keep it short on this one. This is an item that was requested by the public, an individual in the public to come forth before us. He wanted to try to ask you to move the item and get approvals to move with a particular company to do this type of work. What we're recommending tonight is simply that you give us the time to review this, which we're doing. We do currently have an agreement on file that's been executed to take us to the end of January, and we certainly plan on bringing it back before that with the whatever option we're going to recommend. So at this point, we're asking you to just allow us to continue to review our options, and we'll bring it back before our deadline.
I believe that's right. We need to give you an options, but at the same time, did you already visualize? Because I believe at the end of January, expire this contract with this company, right? Because January is almost around the corner. My point is someone, are you ready to open that for bid or to?
We certainly plan on being prepared so there won't be a lapse of time.
Yes,
again, we're looking at our options, and so we will be prepared.
Okay, that's my point. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. So, discussion. I believe it's informational, right? Okay. Future agenda items.
Mr. Mayor, I have two modifications. Number 19 was the one related to the city clerk and city treasurer election. We noticed after the council approved that resolution that there was a sample ballot argument, and we didn't have that discussion with council on whether you approved of this sample ballot argument. If you're ready to make that recommendation tonight, or whether you want the sample ballot argument in favor of the measure to come back to a subsequent council meeting so you can, we could put it on the consent agenda, or you can have it as a business item. We just needed some direction from the council related to what you want to do with that, the ballot argument. And just as some background, as I mentioned, this is a ballot measure that will be submitted on behalf of the city. That's why the city council, there's a provision in the state law that allows the city council as a whole to sign a ballot argument in favor of the measure. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and see if the council wanted to take action with respect to it tonight, or whether you want staff to bring that argument back at a future meeting.
Mr. Hermosillo, you want to share with us your conversation over there? Mr. Hermosillo, you want to share with us your conversation over there? Okay.
Okay, so what's the answer to the city attorney on this item number 19?
The sample ballot?
One thing, it's the sample. One thing I just realized is that if the city is allowed to separate the questions, we may actually need to put two ballot arguments in favor, because there would be two separate ballot questions. So we would need to separate this. So maybe the best idea is to do my further research, and if the other resolution is approved, we could submit these on a subsequent meeting on the consent agenda as separate ballot arguments for the separate ballot measures.
I'll make a motion that we allow you to do further research on this and improve upon it and bring it back at a later date.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Bill Hatch and second by Councilman Moreno. Please call for the vote. Motion carry 5-0.
And then the council did vote at the beginning of the meeting to approve item 22 to add to the agenda related to the casino. So I wanted to remind the council that the three actions that staff is requesting authorization on related to that is the authorization for the city manager to send letters to the Bureau of Indian Affairs related to the land to trust application by December 28th, the deadline we found out about today. And I believe that city council members individually have written letters, and so the city manager is going to collect those and get those to the BIA, and I'll let him speak too on that. The second issue to request direction on is appointment of an ad hoc committee of the council members, because the county appointed an ad hoc committee today of John Renison and Ray Castillo to negotiate with the county related to any MOU with the county. And thirdly is to authorize the city manager and the ad hoc committee to essentially review the documents and begin the negotiations. And the city manager wants to add.
Just on the comment in reference to the letters, the last time that we submitted the letters, there was a council member and the mayor speaking on behalf of the city, and then myself that provided a support letter. The remark that was made was maybe it would be better if individual council members submitted so that we'd have more letters to be submitted. If that's your desires, then we can do that. That's not a problem. And then you can let me know whether you want us to draft a letter or you want to bring in your own letter.
For me, yes. Draft one for me.
I've already given you mine.
Yeah, you're giving me yours. And the ones that we already have, we just basically need to change who it's going to and the date. We can use the same letter. So if you desire for us to draft it, just let us know.
Draft one for me, please.
Okay. Yes. You want us to draft you a letter for support?
Please.
All right.
It's Ms.
Okay, so now I believe, do you have any more comments?
We have to,
You're the appointment of two
I would,
subcommittee members.
do we appoint or can we volunteer?
It's the wishes of the council.
If there's no reservations, I would like to volunteer to be on that ad hoc committee.
I would also like to be, if anyone has a burning desire to be on it, I will volunteer.
Okay. So how about you, Mr.?
No, I'm okay. Mr. Reddick has been on this, he's familiar with the project longer than any one of us, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, about Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado?
And Mr. Hodges has a burning desire.
I always have a burning desire, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Okay, so
Good luck
you
with
already
the
hear that?
negotiations.
Yes, and if the council would authorize the ad hoc committee and the city manager to begin reviewing documents and proceed with
absolutely.
negotiations.
Expedite this.
Thank you.
Move forward.
Okay. So what's any more comments, Mr. City Attorney?
No, sorry, thank you for your patience tonight. So.
Okay, future agenda items.
Okay.
Mr. Bill Hodge,
Just,
Councilman Bill Hodge.
yes, sir, thank you. Two are, they've been made previously, just reminders. Mr. City Manager, like to see something, some kind of outline or plan for city hall meetings starting next year. The second is procedural. It's a generic list of how do we step by step do due diligence when we're involved with potential developers. The third one is a new one here on my request, and that is, I think, at least for myself, and I'm sure others will say, in dire need of a workshop, sir, on protocol, decorum, Robert Rules of Order, time management. I'd really like to get together with my colleagues and have a workshop.
And that we can do. All I need is some direction from council. That's what you want to do, and we'll be happy to put it together.
Yes, I agree.
Any future agenda, Mr.?
Yes, well, I'm glad that, basically, it's just a comment that we got this Grand Plaza moving. Now it's time for the casino to move. And I thought with the attendance today of some of our council members at that meeting, I thought that was a good showing. However, I just want to take a few minutes, maybe just a few seconds to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that other good stuff. This is a good time of the year, and I'm glad that we're ending on a positive note, if you will, with the Grand Plaza. But there's still a lot of work that needs to get done, and we'll face that in 2012. Thank you.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas, everyone.
Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado.
I also want
Any
to
comments?
wish everyone a Merry Christmas and my son for his 19th birthday on December the 23rd. Although this should be a time, a good time, it's actually a very serious time and very sad time, I believe, for our city council. And I need to basically support what you've said, Mr. Hodge and Mr. Moreno. I know that you have not yet had an opportunity to give your opinion of what's been occurring in this, in these chambers. So I have actually written something, and it's because I am absolutely concerned about the circumstances of what we have been experiencing. I have had a lot of thought about what I'm going to say, and I know it's probably unpopular. However, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Mr. Mayor, because of today's arrest of your friend Oscar Gonzalez, due to his alleged disorderly conduct here in City Hall, and because I'm highly concerned for the City Council meetings where I see a serious loss of control, I need to say this because I'm seriously concerned for the best interest of every single person who calls Calexico home. I am disappointed and frustrated to have to come here to these meetings thinking we're going to conduct business in a professional and organized manner, only to find that I have to tolerate hours upon hours of inappropriate and unorganized embarrassment. I attempted to discuss this issue with you on several occasions, however, my concerns fell on deaf ears. This is an immense amount, there is an immense amount of important business to discuss here in these chambers, and many more issues to vote upon. This has not been the professional atmosphere in which to achieve our goals. This problem continues to escalate, as you can see with the arrest of this individual today, and as you have stated today, you cannot control this anymore. The citizens of Calexico deserve progress and nothing more. And although what I am going to ask of this board is a very hard question, I also realize that we all deserve to work for the citizens of Calexico in a healthy and professional environment. I believe that the present situation will only become worse as days go by. I am very sorry to say that I believe that there needs to be a change in our leadership, in that we must regain order in this meeting room. Our first order of business is the people of Calexico. In order to accomplish this, I ask that we place an item on the agenda to discuss this problem seriously. And I further request that we take action as soon as possible. If you need examples of what problems I'm referring to, I have prepared a list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado. Mayor Pro Tem Romero.
I have no comments except happy holidays to everybody. Obviously, concerns with comments made by Councilwoman Hurtado, but all in all, I hope you guys have a good one with you and your family. Thank you.
Well, I'm next. Well, I've been telling you, my friends, the public, that I'm a person that I like to instead create big problems, create small problems. But I'm hearing and I'm hearing again the same problem. But I want you I want to tell you, Councilwoman Maritza Hurtado, I want to remind you, you are a councilwoman. A councilwoman. You almost mentioned that you are a lady. You are a lady. And I treat you like a lady. Myself, if someone come and they don't treat you as a lady, that's something else. But in my concern, in my the way I am, I treat you like a lady. But remember, you are a councilwoman, not any lady who are here. So you are exposing yourself as a councilwoman. Don't forget that. And also to all of my colleagues, you said that you still mention that the Mayor Castro, he didn't run the meeting in order. You know what? You should check and see on December 15, your faces without the mayor. I was in Washington. You should check and see your faces on the videotape. You should see your faces, how you guys are on that date. And unfortunately, this company, they supposedly, they don't record the last 15 minutes. You know what? The last 15 minutes on that day, 12:15, was a shame. How you guys was conducted the meeting. And my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem, he didn't control the meeting. But I invite you, everybody, you know why? Because we are here for you, the people. And you guys, I'm sorry, I didn't say guys, you people, you need to see the video. And then you can criticize us. We are here to represent you. And if you are going to criticize me, that's your decision. But I'm a city council. And again, you still continue to mention that the Mayor Castro, he doesn't know, or he didn't coordinate the meeting the way should be. But like I told you again, and that's it, you should see your faces in the way you run the meeting without the mayor. Without the mayor, and you, the three city council, you should see yourself. Thank you. Okay, meeting adjourned.